Okay, everybody, let's continue on. So we have this SketchUp model, and we're going to bring it into Rhino. And, well, let's just do it, and then we'll talk about it. But anyway, you go to File, Export, and you do 3D Model. And I'm hoping this has all... Oh, it doesn't have an OBJ. I think we can insert a Collada file. Let's try it. I'm used to translating these using an OBJ file. It's an object file, and it's just a generic three-dimensional form. But let's give this a shot. So I'm going to export this here into my personal folder, and I'm just going to call it Landscape Model A 221.
Import, right?
Export.
Oh, export.
Wait, can't save here. Oh, that's why.
Export 3D model?
3D model, yes. So after you export, you can go into your model, and I would suggest, zoom out a fair bit, because this thing is kind of small in comparison to what you actually grabbed. And then go to File, Insert, and let's see if that file type will work for us. Otherwise, we're going to have to look for another workaround. Okay, Gremlin, let's see, type. Oh, looks like it might not grab Collada files. All right, let's try. Maybe there's another version of SketchUp we have to do it on, but let me try something real fast. Yeah, let's try the SketchUp model version, so just save it as the SketchUp model. I didn't think that was how I did it before, but give it a shot. So I'll save this as Landscape Model A. Then I'll go into Rhino, and I'll say File, Insert, Open, and SketchUp. There it is. Open. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit OK. Oh, great. All right. Let's go back a version. Guys, let me just tell you, this doesn't change ever. You're going to deal with this for the rest of your career. Okay, now File, not import, I want to do Insert, Browse. There we go. Open. Okay. 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 Haha.
Well,
Which version did you see? You went
8.
too quick.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't explain it because I'm just trying to figure out why, how it was going wrong and just get it done. But anyway, I saved it as a version 8. So here in SketchUp, just go to File, Save As, and then go down here to the bottom and change that to SketchUp version 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the error message told me anyway. So I just listened to it. So here we go. Back into Rhino. Let me give you guys a chance to catch up, save it as version 8, and then go to Insert and drop it into your model, and then I'll show you about kind of breaking it apart and doing things later on. All right, guys. So the model here that we inserted has a couple of features. Apparently, Ahmed's model came in with the map attached. I don't know what he did differently, but we'll figure it out later. This is a little different than what I'm used to, but it looks like it took the picture plane in with my actual terrain, and so it all came in as one object, which basically means it's a giant block. I can break that apart, and you'll see that it says one block instance up top. You can break that apart just like you're familiar with almost any other software package using the explode command. It'll just break it apart into individual components. So this one broke it into 4 objects, which basically means you've got a mesh here, 2 meshes there for some reason, and I don't know where I just deleted those 2, but I don't know where the other one was. There must be a fourth object somewhere in this thing. But anyway, so this comes through as a mesh. What you should be aware of with a mesh is that if you look at it in rendered view, it's faceted, right? This is basically a triangulation, and you you have options at your disposal to smooth it out and kind of work with it, but generally speaking, they're not fantastic. But one thing you can do, let me see something. Extract. I don't know if you can do extract points on a mesh, but let's try it. So extract PT. Okay, cool. It did it for us. So what extract PT is going to do, and I grab my mesh underneath now, and I'm sliding this out. Extract PT just creates a cloud of points across where all the intersections are for this model. And if I wanted to smooth it out, I could do something pretty nifty that's called a patch. I'll go up into my top view, and I'm going to grab this, all of those dots, and I'm going to do the patch command. Patch has some settings that you need to be aware of if you're going to do the smoothing out process. The sample point spacing, I think that's basically kind of like the resolution, like how many points is it going to test for. And then the U spans and V spans is how many axes are going to be aligned across this warped or bent surface. So think of U and V as being synonymous with X and Y, except it's in 3 dimensions, sort of. And then stiffness is just how close to the point is it going to get. And so I think we can go all the way down to like a 0.01 on that. I think. I actually forget whether or not that's perfect. But when you hit OK, it's going to look kind of crazy around the edges. And that's because it has to bend from, you know, positives and negatives in order to make the surface. And so it looks crazy, but it's really not all that crazy. You just need to go through the process of trimming it off, but basically this is our hillside, and it looks a lot smoother now, like this. So what I'm going to do here is draw a rectangle. I know, I'm doing a bunch of steps. Maybe I should wait till you get here before I move on to the next step. Okay, so basically all I did was I selected this mesh and I did extract point, and then I moved it aside and I grabbed all the points and I did patch, and I increased the stiffness.
What did you turn the stiffness into?
0.01. I actually think I might have wanted to go. I'm going to try it again and see which way it reacts the other way. Not sure if I want to go higher or lower.
So you left
Yeah.
you left the UMV spans as 10.
Yeah, I left them as 10. I don't generally need more. You can increase it up to like 25 maybe to make it a little more accurate, but you generally shouldn't have to. But you can see when I increased the stiffness up to 10, it means that the actual surface is like more rigid, and so it won't bend as much to meet these points. So when you go lower, like a 0.01, it'll bend to meet the point. So I did have that correct. There we go. That's why it's all crazy. So I'm going to pause real quick before I do the trimming. So now to trim, I'm going to do it in a rather simplified way. I am going to just draw a profile curve in the top view, and then I'm just going to use the trim command using apparent intersections. Some of you know what that means, some of you don't. Let's talk about it. So using polyline here, I'm going to snap to each of these points, but you'll notice that as I hover near it, it doesn't snap. Well, this is an instance where you want to go down into your object snap settings and you want to turn on point. So that way it'll actually grab this point. And then I can go down to the bottom one right here, Then this side. That one. And then that one. And there we go. Okay, so with that, now I have this profile curve that kind of goes around the whole thing, but some of the geometry sort of slips underneath and all this stuff. In some cases, it might trim it all, and in other cases, it might not. But let's take a look at what the result is, and there might be a better way of doing this. But so I'm going to I escaped. I generally, here's just like a side thing. Okay, best practice for you guys. When I'm doing a tutorial, I try my best to cancel any kind of pre-existing selections before I do a command, because it's an easier way for you guys to learn new commands by knowing precisely what it's asking for. So now when I type in trim, it's not going to jump to assuming that the cutting object is the one that I had pre-selected. Otherwise, it would assume that, and it wouldn't tell you which ones to be selected first. So now this is telling me, select your cutting objects. This means, like, if you had scissors, which object would you be cutting with or along? So that would be my profile. Oops, not that. Profile curve. Then you hit enter, and then the object to trim would be any of the geometry around the perimeter of this thing, so I would just trim that off. And so I can get rid of that curve now. And I will select all of my points and deselect the surface. I'm going to put those points on a layer and turn it off. So let me create... Whoa. All right. Landscape points layer, change object layer for those points, and then turn them off. And so here is the final result of the surface. So I think that's a pretty convincing divergence from what we had before, where it was hyperfaceted here, and now we've got something that's kind of hyper smooth. It reads a little better, don't you think? Okay, so let's get to this stage, and then we'll start to actually compose our scene.